Badlands, explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
What's up, brother?
What's up?
Did you see my private chat before I continue?
Oh shit. Let me see here.
Oh
you're good.
All right, good. Folks, welcome to Q After Hours. The date is February 22nd, 2026. I just want to say, here prepping for the show, getting some stuff ready, as well as a bunch of other shows. And I was like, it was like 90 minutes like pregame, and people are already in the chat. I was like, this audience is badass. This audience is so cool. And then I was like, I got an idea. I said, let's piss some people off.
Oh, always gotta piss some people off.
You know, Josh, we do this Q stuff, right?
We do.
We do like decoders, right?
Yeah, like decode, man.
And I'm just like, let's just tell our audience, like, trust the plan, bro.
Like, dude, anything goes. Just like connect a name here, a word over here. It's all good.
Just don't ask me what the plan is. Just trust the plan, bro.
That's right. Just trust it, bro. But
And
like, what's the plan?
what if
Oh,
you
just
know,
gotta
you
trust
know.
it.
If you know, you know.
Oh, if you know, you know. All
Yeah,
right.
do the research yourself, bro.
Well, damn.
Like,
Now I feel like I'm missing out on the plan.
well, no, because the plan is like they're gonna save us. You know them.
So I don't have to do anything?
No, bro. Trust the
Oh.
plan.
Oh, so it's just eat popcorn and watch actors in a movie?
Well, let's go make some lines and some circles and connect some dates, and yeah, and then we'll just
No context whatsoever. Let's
No,
just make it.
no.
Let's just make it all connect somehow. The dates are the same. The word they
No,
use the word
no.
the. The word the.
You can't add context, because then what if we're wrong?
No. Oh.
It's better if we just say trust the plan, because then no matter what happens, we could be like, see, like we told you, like that was the plan that we knew the whole time.
So nothing against the person who messaged me this on X, but it was actually really, really good that they like what they did. It made me laugh. And they said, dude, you need to go into the Epstein files and you need to search Nasara before they delete it. Because when you go to the Epstein files, it doesn't show up once. You're like, oh, it must have been deleted.
Listen, I love you guys. We love you guys. There's two of us. We love you guys. But you gotta hold us podcasters, influencers, content creators, you gotta hold us accountable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Yeah. Let me tell you, when I'm going through the comments, and first let me say, last week we didn't review the audience's questions like we normally did.
Oh.
And bro, I got so many emails like, hey, you guys not doing that no more. Like, I was like, oh God, they're mad at me. So we're going back to that. So no more hate mail, please. I felt like Dan Bongino for a second. But when I go through the comments, like you guys are so awesome as an audience. You say so many good things about me and Josh. And trust me, we appreciate it because me and Josh don't really bitch about the bad stuff that comes in, you know. It's part of business. But there's a lot of it. And then going through the comments, just seeing all the love from you guys, like trust me, we're happy about it. But just remember, we're just like you. You know, we do some research, we have some people that give us information, but you know, don't look at us like way up here. And I feel like some people do that. And trust me, it's great for the ego, but it's not great for the win.
Right.
And the win's what matters. So when you have people out there, and it doesn't matter how long you've been following them, if people are saying trust the plan, you gotta ask them, folks. Well, what is it? What's the plan?
Or make an uncorrelated without any contextual reference post references.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, like, dude, he said this word here and it's over here. Like, does that mean like trust the plan?
Because it's getting abused like crazy.
Right.
And one of the reasons that it's getting abused is because it's great content, and people love to see like the Hollywooding of Q, you know. There's a dark side that attacks, trust the plan. And let me be very clear. I trust the plan. But if you ask me what it is, I can articulate for you in 17 phases exactly what that looks like. And
In a book form.
and so can Josh. So what I'm saying is when people come and tell you trust the plan, ask them what it is. And when people come and attack you and say, "Oh, you're a trust the plan," ask them what it is. And let me ask you guys, let me ask you, Josh, if someone attacks Q's and trust the plan and they don't know what it is, and then there's somebody out there that's making a living or partial living or promoting trust the plan, and they don't know what it is, what's the difference between those two people?
So, well, one is in nescience and one is in ignorance. So nescience means they don't know what they don't know, right? And so you get this a lot on X. You get people out there, they're like, "Oh, that Q stuff, it's just a Mossad psyop." And but then you ask them about it and they know nothing. They've never investigated the boards, researched the boards. So they're nescient on the topic. They're just tracking along with the echo chamber of what's cool at that moment. The other people, though, this is where I kind of have a problem. And I tend to fight back every once in a while. I try to stay neutral in a lot of things. But when you're pushing kind of a narrative out there of things Q never said, of correlations that shouldn't be made, to have no context, saying it is something that it actually is not, what you're actually doing is an injustice. And the reason that is because right now people are coming to Q because they're hearing about it for the first time, or it's being remembered because of, back in 2017, 2018, 2019, but now it's circulating around because of the Epstein files, because we were over the target on the Epstein files. So you get a lot of new people coming in, and what you're getting a lot of distortion and a lot of overflow from people who have no idea what they're talking about, trying to capture the minds and attention of that audience to basically align them with their own agenda, with their own interpretation or understanding of what they believe Q is. And a lot of this is psychological misdirection. And this is what I want to be clear about, is there is a concerted effort to discredit the Q community even today. Massive influencers still out there doing their shows in front of live audiences, big freaking audiences they have, that are completely deviating people in the wrong direction, whether intentionally or unintentionally. I don't know, right? I'm not going to make those assumptions. But what I will say is that it's very clear what it is and what it's not. And that when we go out there and you guys will watch this, Alpha will bring up posts sometimes, like when we're doing deltas or something, I'll be like, no relevance whatsoever. Like, but that's just me saying, look, like there's no contextual reference frame to what's happening in the world. And I'm a very good gauge of what's happening in the world right now, of looking at a post, understanding the history and the context of that post from 2018, 2019, and then the modern day of what's going on today. And when these do happen, one thing that you'll always notice is that when Trump or Scavino or Flynn or anything like that are going to utilize a timestamp delta or something of that nature, it's going to be very generic. Like the storm is coming, or future proofs the past. It's going to be something very, very, it's not going to have specific information in it. And also you have to piecemeal these posts in the sense of sometimes the context, when the context is matching within a social post. Other than that, you know, like making, and I'm just going to bring up an example here. When you make a post of everybody's probably seen this if you've been on X. There is a reward for $15 million for the CJNC or NG cartel leader, right? It's a $15 million bounty for him. And people are associating that with a Q post that says $15 million Bank of Mexico that has Barack Obama. And people are like, do you think there's a message here? No. It's completely, correlation does not equate causation, right? There is no correlative structure or context that brings those two things together. And so we have to use discernment when we're looking at these things, because that can deviate into rabbit holes. Now people are like, well, you know, the cartels were laundering money through Mexican banks to Hillary Clinton for pay for play, or, well, no, actually we can go back to the Obama administration, and they didn't need to do it like that because they had the attorney general, which was running fast and furious, and they were utilizing cartels as proxy intermediaries to run guns down to Mexico and drugs up in the United States, letting the Sinaloa cartel run rampant on the streets from 2010 into 2016, and basically taking out all the Bloods and the Crips and the other gangs that actually had already captured the cocaine and crack trade. And the Sinaloas went out there and completely eviscerated them over about an 8-year period and took the majority of that over. And then what did they do? They swapped out the cocaine with fentanyl and started doping the cocaine with fentanyl. And why is that? Because there's a direct Chinese connection to the Mexican cartels. And that goes into the same connectivity that we have in Venezuela and Colombia with obviously the Cartel de los Soles, Cuban intelligence, that plays a role, but all of that is interconnected. And so you don't need to, like, you know, say, well, you know, is there a message between $15 million and a Q board post? No. I mean, unless you can find the reference frame. And if you do, when you do these decodes, post it. Be specific. Like, hey, I found this post and this post. Are they correlated? Here's my thoughts. This is what I think and how they're correlated. Because that's how breadcrumbs are labeled. And that's how people start to dig on them and actually find relevant information.
Let me share this real quick to support what you're saying, because I absolutely agree. FBI 10 most wanted fugitive, Ryan James wedding, $15 million. Reward offers up to $50 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Canadian narcotics trafficker, and up to $2 million. You can go through and find $15 million bounty after $15 million bounty after $15 million bounty. And so that's why when Josh says you got to have context, that's what's important, because this is what, and I've already seen some red flags on this, and you probably have as well too, Josh. You are going to see some aspects of the Q community that are probably going to promote a fake Q or a fake Q board to bring back relevance to what they're doing, because they don't understand how to make the plan unfold into what you guys need, like the growth in the Q community. So be very conscious of all of a sudden you see, well, there's a new Q board or there's this. Be very careful if you start to see some stuff like that. The other thing that I'll add, and why this is important, and you kind of touched on this, Josh, there's a lot of people that are now being exposed to Q for the first time, or they were exposed to it in the past, but they didn't have confidence in it, or they wrote it off, and now they're revisiting it because something caught their attention. It's up to all the thousands of you that are watching this show. It's up to you guys to have a solid foundation and accurate understanding of not only what Q is, the boards, and the plan, but you got to be able to confront people that are going to put misinformation, disinformation, or propaganda against it. Because if you don't, then the side that is trying to either rug pull or exploit Q, they will win. And that's what makes this important, folks. We're no longer at the point where Q is real. We need vindication. We're past that. We've matured past that. Now it's what is the purpose of it? And I saw someone in the chat said, well, what's your guys's, understanding of what Q is? And I'll give you like the back of the book version because it's extremely complex. But the back of the book version is it was a plan to delegitimize the authority of information into a decentralized information platform to create a bunch of people that would no longer look at government or the media for what is truth and what is fact, but in turn take on the responsibility to learn this information in order to develop truth. Because as long as you can attack a person, then you can attack what they're saying. But if the information is so decentralized, it doesn't matter who you attack. You can never put that information back in the bottle. And as long as information is decentralized, you can take on the deep state. You can take on the narrative machine. And the reason that part's important is because, and this is another thing, I know I'm going to piss some more people off with this, Josh. And we'll get into some commercials here, I promise. Everybody's saying
that's what everybody's waiting for.
That's what everybody's waiting for. Everybody is hung up on where's the arrest? Where's the arrest? Where's the arrest? And let me tell you guys, and I know this is going to piss people off. And trust me, I want the arrest as much as you guys, but this is what we all have to realize. The arrests change nothing. Nothing. The deep state doesn't fear arrests. If you go and arrest James Comey, if you go and arrest Bolton, Brennan, Hillary, Obama, they got 20 people, 100 people lined up behind each one of them. It's good for the. I'm not saying it's not important, but what I'm saying is not the end all. The one thing that the deep state fears, and this is why the decentralized information and anons that knew how to dig is so important. The one thing that the deep state fears, and they fear it because it dismantles them, is understanding how the mechanism works. And this is why when people say, why is Trump allowing all this stuff to happen? He could have just fixed it. He could have. But you wouldn't have understood how the mechanism works. And if you don't understand how the mechanism works, then somebody else will come in its fold and take over and rerun it. So this plan was to delegitimize the authority and information sources, decentralize that information to a bunch of anons and soldiers, teach people how to dig and research in order to use that information to expose the mechanism so that when we take back control, it would never have the ability to take control again. Like that would be my back of the book version of what that is. Granted, there's a lot more to it, but that's how I would sum it up. I don't know if you want to add to that, Josh.
Yeah, no, I'll absolutely add to it. So how it started came about from what we got from, I would say, sources and people that are in the know, is that there was special access program, high level technology being stolen. And this was brought to the attention of very, very high powerful people in our military. They started looking into it. In the midst of looking into it, they uncovered not only stolen military technology, but they uncovered leaks of classified information and undermining of the U.S. Constitution, rampant pedophilia within elites, compromise and compromise within politicians and global leaders, and an elite satanic baby-eating, blood-drinking network, I shit you not, which obviously developed in the Pizzagate. And so they realized that the war that they were fighting was much bigger than just technology. And so they understood that they had to go back out there and capture the minds of America, capture the mind of patriots. And this is what General Flynn means when he says that we had to redefine the idea of information, that we have to take back the domain of information. When you look at the multi-domain battlefield of war, every domain, whether it's cyber, data, space, land, air, sea, all of them are surrounded by the domain of information, which is the primary domain of warfare. For the longest time, the mainstream media has controlled that domain. That is what has allowed them to reign supreme for all of that time, until we all came along. We built an infrastructure amongst people. Whether we were right or wrong, we were all collaborating. We were all talking and discussing. We were going down rabbit holes. We were preserving information. We were finding connections. And we kept on bringing it to the surface. And every time they got more and more pissed off and eventually censored us to the point where that created a creation. Truth Social, Rumble. Rumble and Truth Social are here today because we all got censored because of Q. Like, think about that. The reason we have these platforms today, the reason X is what it is because of the sequence of events that came about because of Q. Now, if that didn't happen, the world would be a much different place. If they had won the information narrative, the world would be completely different. We would be in the Great Reset and walking into the Western commie fascist New World Order right now. So I urge everybody, if you are new here, this is your first time watching or maybe your second time watching Q After Hours, what I would highly recommend is subscribe, but listen to this show. We will answer a lot of the questions that people have pertaining to accountability and arrest and why haven't we seen them yet? And, what's happening in Mexico? Oh, by the way, does anybody remember when me and Alpha sat on all of our shows and said, Mexico's up next, Mexico before Iran? And listen, this gets a lot better, but there's a sequence of events that have to unfold. And when you start to understand the infrastructure of how the global elite class operated, their illicit crime rings, then you understand that all of this has to be dismantled sequentially over time. And when you start to dismantle it, they become weaker and weaker and weaker. But in the aspect of game theory, what you're doing is you're drawing your enemy down roads that are predetermined by you, not by their decision-making process. And when you know which next move that they're going to make because you've eliminated all of the other ancillary roads, then you are in control of how this ends and what happens next. In other words, checkmate. You are 15, 20 moves ahead of your opponent, and they are falling for every trap that you set. That's where we are right now. And when we start talking about, the first 100 days, Trump needs to do this, or before the midterms, Trump needs to throw all timelines out the window. That is nothing more than an echo chamber predetermined by the mainstream media, by political pundits, by the left-right paradigm. It has no level of reasoning in Trump's world.
Everything's unprecedented right now.
That's right. Everything is unprecedented right now. And we're gonna talk about some good topics tonight, guys. We're gonna talk about what's happening in Mexico, what's going on with the cartels, U.S. Special Operation Forces, like Alpha and I've been saying for the last 12 months, are already in there and operating. We're going to talk about what potential consequences come about that with border wars, the potentially terrorist attacks that could happen within the United States due to this, and why the Trump administration over the last 1 year has actually limited the probability of that actually happening for what they've done. We're going to talk about UFO disclosure just a little bit because I want to bring a new flavor to it that maybe people aren't realizing of context that we've already talked about with a lot of other things. We're going to talk about Iran. So right now you have, I think his name is John Kirikou, the former CIA guy that was just interviewed. And he said that, I got from a source directly in the White House that Trump is going to bomb Iran in the next 3 days. It's not going to happen, guys. Trump's not going to bomb Iran in the next 3 days. Number one, if Trump's going to bomb Iran, you're never going to know about it. You're not going to know the date and the time. You're not going to know when or where or how. Number two is that stuff isn't advertised. Trump hates leakers. Number three is Trump is about diplomacy. He wants stabilization in the Middle East so that Westernization can happen there. Infrastructure can be built out. The last thing that's going to happen if war breaks out with Iran is exactly that. So Donald Trump has got diplomacy on his mind, and there will be a deal with Iran. What's going on in Russia and Ukraine? We just learned last week, Russia is moving into Odessa. Holy shit. Alpha, where did we hear that Russia was going to move into Odessa by the end of February and beginning of spring? I mean,
it was one of these shows.
I'm pretty sure it was one of these shows. So when we start to look, there's a level of, accuracy that we try to bring to the table. And I hope that that is far greater and superior than our competition in the podcasting world, because we truly do try, but we do have really good information. So I hope that if this is your first time listening, you hear what we have to say and just kind of try to process it, because it's going to be a lot.
The only thing I'll add to that as well is, two things, and I'll be quick about it, is we hopefully we're doing our job. And as you continue to watch this show and the other shows that we do, you'll understand how we come to this information, how we put the analysis together so that you can do it on your own. So you don't need us. Now, granted, you're a family and we love you here. And I say this because I was in a space this past week and this lady came and I know she was probably speaking from a good place, but I also realized that she didn't get it. She comes in and she says, the way you and Josh keep doing shows, people aren't going to need your shows. And so I told her, I go, yeah, that's the plan. And she didn't understand that. And this is, I think, what separates me and Josh from a lot of other Q people out there, because there are some really good Q people that break it down. I don't think as good as Josh, but they're out there. But there are other people that want to keep you dependent on them. If you miss this show, you're not going to know what's happening. As opposed to, we'd rather incorporate you guys, train you through our explanations of how we do it, so you can be a part of so we're a team. So you can hit us up like a lot of you do. Like, it's impressive how many of you send information and are like, hey, I was looking at this and this is how I look at it. And I'm smiling. I'm like, yeah, like you get how this works. You're not just looking at a delta and a name. You're seeing how this applies to a statement Trump made over here about a policy thing that's coming down the chain. And now, because you recognize it, you can get ahead of that. Like, that's impressive. And so, and I think that's what really separates this show away from a lot of other ones, just to say. So let's get to some amazing ads and sponsors, because these people allow us to keep this stuff free. And those links will be down in the description below on Rumble or YouTube, depending what platform you're watching. And I'm not going to lie, I cheated and I called someone to help me get this name right. And I'm probably going to get it wrong anyways. Are you looking for a better alternative to over-the-counter drug medications? Tamarack Garden began from a parent's desperate need for safe and effective options for their kids. Tired of toxic chemicals taking matters into their own hands, they began crafting medicine from weeds, wildflowers, and herbs. The original time-tested healers that modern medicine can't match. Packed with antiviral herbs to boost immunity and fight illness, Tamarack Garden has, for a limited time, their elderberry and rose hips syrup kit available. Not only is it delicious, no more battle with the kids, and easy to make, it will help you get you and your family healthy all fall and winter. Introducing Tamarack Garden's new baby line, clean, non-toxic, and gentle for newborns and moms, relieving cradle crap, diaper rash, stretch marks, and postpartum pain. Visit tamarackgarden.com today and use promo code Badlands for $10 off orders over $50. Remember to eat your weeds. tamarackgarden.com, promo code Badlands, and that's TAMARAC garden.com. And then our next one, and I hope I got that right. I hit up Ash. I was like, Ash, is it Tamarack? And I said, enunciate this thing for me. She sent it to me, and she's probably going to be like, you still got it wrong, loser. And you guys will enjoy this one too. This one's a good one. Oh, make self-care great again with All Good by Jessica Storm. Making small batches by Jessica in Florida with only clean ingredients with purpose, zero junk, and packaged in amber glass jars, so it's all good inside and out. Start with the lightweight Pure Whip tallow for all over hydration. Tighten up with no tox smoothing serum. Nourish your hair with the game-changing tallow hair mask, and finish with the tamed hair serum or tallow beard balm for control and style. Ready for sunshine and spring? Grab some All Good sunscreen and bug out balm to nourish your skin while protecting it. Grab a bundle of your faves at badlandsmedia.tv/allgood and use promo code Badlands to discount your entire purchase and to support the creators at Badlands Media. See what all the buzz is about at badlandsmedia.tv/allgood. Promo code Badlands. Get that finishing hair serum, folks. You'll like it. And the pure tallow stuff, you'll love it. All those links down in the description. Josh, where do you want to start? Should we start with the cartels, or you want to go somewhere else?
Let's start with a few different things that we saw this week, and I want to pull these up, and I think that these are significant. Well, I think that they tell what's going on. Number one, a White House post. Okay. So everybody probably saw this, and I don't know if anybody really made the correlation. Okay. So the White House posted, President Trump will always put America first. Why the hell is he holding an umbrella? Well, February 20th is the day they posted it. 6-year delta of prepare for the storm. White House 6 year to the date posted President Trump with an umbrella, readying for the storm. Now, contextual reference frame. 6 year Delta, Trump holding an umbrella on a meme that the White House literally created with a post on the Delta of that day saying, prepare for the storm. I would say that is a very good decode, right?
Very, very good one.
Is there another one that maybe came out on or around the same day? Well, come on,
Wait,
X.
there's more.
Okay. You guys probably all saw this one. It says tap in. When you tap on it, Trump goes black. Well, that's kind of cool, right? Well, let's break it down. Tap in post by the White House. When you tap in, you get the black Trump mixing with a black ground and then red. This is rigging for red. On U.S. Navy ships, at nighttime, usually you have red that is spread throughout the ship. So if you're running dark, if you're running it up, if you're looking for drug smugglers or anything like that, you turn off all lights on the ship except for your mast light, even some senses, even your mast light, and you run dark. And what you do is it's rigging for red. You turn all the red lights on the inside because it's got a short wavelength, so it doesn't travel as far. Okay. So
that's how you read your maps. That's how everything's done under the red
that's
light.
right. Now, March 9th, Delta is coming up. The White House posted this on February 20th. Okay. So the White House posted this, rig for red, on February 20th. The March 9th, Delta is coming up. That's a 17-day difference. What is March 9th? Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. Rig for red. And then when you go in here, it even mentions Q Plus retweeted 17 hours later. So you got a 17 reference in there with 17-day difference between the White House post and the Q board post. You get the rigging for red and the rig for red, and nothing can stop it coming, which correlates directly to the last post of prepare for the storm. Now, did people see the contextual reference frame that we draw in on these decodes of how that, and what I mean by it's kind of like generic, right? Like nothing can stop it's coming, nothing, rig for red. And then you got prepare for the storm, but you have the correlation that equates it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So what does this all mean? Well, that's preparing for what? March Madness. So we've kind of laid out what we can expect. Number one is John Solomon, the last week to 2 weeks, has been amping up the Fort Pierce grand jury that is impaneled, that is investigating the 2016-2017 intelligence community assessment. If you don't remember this, Thomas Speciale was one of the whistleblowers that came forth that basically worked on the ICA. This is the same ICA that Senate came in and utilized, which used the Steele dossier as the primary. John Brennan lied under oath to Senate, claiming that they did not use the Steele dossier as the primary for the ICA, which they did. The 2016 ICA actually looked at, it had our intelligence community go look at state election voting systems and see if there is compromise in the system. And they came back and said, well, yeah, there is some things happening here. But then the intelligence head ups basically said, no, remove that. This is what we want to put in there. This is the same one that Admiral Rogers is like, I need more clarification if you want me to sign on to this. And they're like, no, just sign it. Trust us, bro. Trust us. So this is kind of what John Brennan is facing right now. And this is just the first part of what the Fort Pierce grand jury is actually looking into. And I think that what we're about to see here beginning in March is a potential indictment of, and I will be to say this every fucking month, a potential indictment of John Brennan and associates with this. You just saw Susan Rice come out and basically, I don't know if anybody saw the video of Susan Rice basically saying, all these Trumpers are going to have to get re-educated. We're going to have to deal with them some way. That lawyer up, save all your records because we're coming for you. I mean, that's a direct threat to you, me, and everybody.
It is.
But they mean it. So you think that when Donald Trump hears that, he's not thinking like, well, we're not going to give these guys accountability. We're not going to hold them accountable for their actions. Let them come get us. We'll win in court. Fuck no. Donald Trump's, trust me, he's going to take down this deep state collaboration. But one thing that John Solomon did say last week is that they just requested new testimony from John Brennan from 2016, 17, and 18, which is outside of the statute of limitations. Now, they're doing this because he believes that it correlates to a larger conspiracy in the sense of what John Brennan was doing. By the way, there's no statute of limitations on conspiracy, which then links in other actors into this, bringing in FISA-gate, Russia, Mueller investigation, the weaponization of the DOJ through the Obama White House against President Trump during that time, which would be FISA-gate, obviously. But all of this starts to intercorrelate into each other.
And we've covered it before, just for people to understand this. So when you guys have some time on your downtime, look up predicate. Jesus.
Predicate.
Thank you. Crimes. This is one of the things that we use in cases like this, in RICO cases, but especially with the ongoing Conspiracy Act. This is going to be paramount, because if you show that and this is for you guys that have been watching our show, you've heard us talk about this on my show, on our show, on the Badlands shows, is they have been defining and exposing a criminal crime syndicate. And the reason that's important is because that's one element that you need to put into this ongoing continuing conspiracy. Because the second you establish a criminal enterprise and the second you attach that to ongoing conspiracy acts, the statute of limitations hasn't even started its toll. As long as you can show these predicate crimes that go back and forth, same people, and then you go back a few more years. Same people, you can go back a few more years. I mean, that you can go as far back as you have the ability to show that this criminal enterprise existed and that these people were all part of it. And so when you hear people say, well, the statute of limitations is going to expire, only if you're looking at it as an individual crime in of itself. You attach it to a criminal enterprise, you attach it to ongoing conspiracy, statute of limitations hasn't even started yet.
Yep. And you remember what John Solomon was stating before, this was back in July of last year. He said, from what I'm learning from my sources is that there's 4 grand juries in the process of being impaneled. One in the Eastern District of Virginia with Lindsay Halligan. That's investigating FISA-gate, James Comey. The other in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is going to investigate the same context, the 2016 ICA, the Steele dossier. And then he says there's 2 more, one in New York City and one in Pennsylvania, but we don't know what they're being impaneled for. But he said it appears that they're trying to string together a conspiracy case of which there's ample evidence to support against all of these people. So listen, this stuff does take time, but understand that Donald Trump is going to strike when the timing is correct. And my assumption is probably August or September timeframe, because this is after the primaries, before the midterms. This is when candidates become the most vulnerable and parties become incredibly vulnerable. And if you want an absolute red wave, you expose all the criminality, all the corruption, all the evil right in that time frame. Because what's going to happen is certain candidates who are incumbents, who are probably thinking they're going to win their election really, really easy, are not going to even win, because they're going to have to resign because there's compromise on them from Jeffrey Epstein, or they're going to have to resign because they were involved in a criminal conspiracy, or they took money from cartels through second mortgages, which they claimed as their primary residence so they could do tax evasion. Like, trust me, it's coming.
You know, I don't want to take us off the topic of what we're covering here, but you have 26th and the 27th, Bill and Hillary, they're going to be providing testimony. Now, they're going to go in there and plead the fifth. Are they going to go in there and be compelled to provide information? Are they going to go in there and, suggest that they have evidence that is going to compromise the president to try to get the agenda and narrative to spin that way? Like, there's some big things that's about to unfold in a few days. And at the same time, like Josh said, we have Rig for Red. Yeah.
It's coming, and it's coming fast. And, I've always looked at it kind of, well, not always, but over the last few months, I've been looking at what the Trump administration is doing and how they're unfolding. And man, it's a lot of stuff to balance, but I explain it like this. Imagine that you're walking out one door and your foot is in the next. Okay. So you're leaving the old world and you're entering into the new world. And so you're walking out of the old world, but you're taking the trash out with you to ensure that the new world is clean and tidy. This is what the Trump administration is doing. Whether the deep state realizes it or not, they're already done. Like, for example, for everybody out there, the what we call the New World Order is a factioned state. There is no one nation. There isn't, one head leader or anything like this. I call it the multi-headed Hydra. The different heads are all different factions. Each faction has its own ideology, its own philosophy, all of these things. Over the last 100 years, one faction has accumulated and centralized immense power and wealth around them, which basically allowed all those other factions to kind of swarm around it and support it because they were the leading faction. This is what we call the New World Order. This is the old European aristocracy. This is the royal bloodlines. This is the central bankers, the Rothschilds, so on and so forth. Over the course of 1 year, that old guard system has been systematically dismantled. You don't believe me? Go look at the National Security Doctrine and the National Defense Doctrine for 2026 from the Trump administration. They basically tell Europe, fuck off. We don't care. We're not playing your game anymore. When they talk about the rules-based international order, man, the rules-based international order was a series of think tanks and NGOs that were set up as intermediaries between large financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, and governments around the world. And what they did is they dictated policy, regulation, and law through this international intermediary, would then trickle down to governments around the world and then control the movement of money around the world. Who got funding, who didn't, who got IMF loans or World Bank loans and who didn't. This was all based on basically a pay-to-play scheme. That whole infrastructure has been dismantled by the Trump administration. So what you see is the last fighting breaths of those NGO infrastructures putting all of their money and resources to fight back clandestinely with social justice warriors and cartels and protesters and leftist activists. That is going to fizzle out very, very fast. The reason they're going after the cartels right now is because they've already cut off the head of the snake. Think about this. It's the only thing that really, really makes sense. Do you go after somebody when they're strong, or do you go after somebody after that they've been completely dismantled and they're weak, and all you have to do is just take out a few key people and everything else falls apart? That's what you're seeing right now. Over the course of the next few weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if what you see is U.S. drone strikes into cartel territories throughout Latin America, Central America, and Mexico, as well as a targeting of the leadership of the Sinaloa cartel, of the Western cartels, the other cartels that operate out there. There's so many different names and branches, but you're going to see a complete dismantling of this infrastructure, and it's going to happen very, very fast. And one key point here, if everybody's talking about the cartel strikes today and how Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, was against this. She was against this. And right now, she's against it. The reason being is because 2023, we know China was buying up all the ports and rare earth minerals and metal deals all throughout Latin and Central America. This was part of the Belt and Roads Initiative, part of BRICS. They were direct components into the infrastructure of Venezuela, which allowed Maduro to do what he did in Iran. They collaborate with them, Hezbollah, Hamas. Who do you think paid for the planes and the ships to bring all of the illegal immigrants from the Middle East and Northern Africa into Venezuela? It was fucking China. At the same time, China's paramilitary groups as well as special forces were operating within Central America and Mexico, training the various different cartels and funding and supplying them with new armaments, drones, technology. This is why they have those robo suits on and those brand new freaking guns. China did that. So back in 2023, when you heard about Donald Trump was notified that man pads were coming over, rocket launchers were coming over the border, that was very, very true, because what was happening is the cartels were utilizing the mass migration as cover to basically bring about massive munitions and armaments to the southern border, of which they had built out through NGO infrastructure, these huge warehouses which housed mass migrants that came in. And on the other side of these warehouses was all different types of armaments, almost preparing for an invasion. This is why one of the first things Trump did is put 20,000 troops directly at the southern border, which are still there today. who knows? Maybe this is part reason why El Paso airspace and parts of New Mexico were shut down last week, because they knew this was all coming, because we had U.S. Reaper drones actually flying directly over Mexico for the last 6 months gathering intel. We've had special forces operating in Mexico gathering on target intel, non-engagement on target intel. So listen, all of this is ramping up right now and it's unfolding. So you have everybody's like, oh, Iran, the largest naval buildup since World War II in an area. Oh my God, he's going to strike Iran. He's not going to strike Iran. If he does, it's going to be surgical, it's going to be precision, and it's going to be over within 10 minutes. And it's simply going to be no more enriching uranium. It's done once again. It's not going to be, we're going to take out Khamenei and we're going to take out the mullahs. If that's done, it's going to be Israel. It's going to be British intelligence, because they want to get Reza Pahlavi, their stooge, in place. If it's going to be Donald Trump doing something like that, he's going to do it diplomatically. And here's the thing that you're seeing with Iran. You have a divergence in Iran already. You noticed this the other day, right after the negotiations and talks. You have the foreign minister and the president, Preshnikov, or I think it's Brzezinski or Przeshnikov, I forget his name over there in Iran. But he negotiated, hey, we came to a resolution. We got a few things that we're just still working out. At the same time, when they're doing that and they're saying, we're going to come up with a deal, it's almost done, you have Khamenei and the mullah saying, the United States and Donald Trump were the devil and we're going to blow them up. Look at the video we generated with AI, missiles, haha. There's a complete divergence between these, which shows you that the IRGC and the mullahs are no longer coordinating with the political establishment in Iran, which is exactly what I said would happen when you started to have the rise up of the protests in the streets within Iran, which means that you're most likely seeing some internal scuffle and strife that's going to end in a coup d'etat of overthrowing the mullahs. And I said that if the Trump administration, Israel, want to take out Iran and they want to get Khamenei out of the way and they want to get the mullahs out of the way, the easiest way to do this is to fund the Kurdish rebel forces right there in the border of Iraq and Iran, who've already engaged the IRGC on multiple different base fronts and taken over some of their bases in the southern Iran territories. Fund those and then produce a rising up through color revolution of the protesters, arm the protesters, and then you have special operation forces through the Kurdish rebel forces move in and take out the mullahs, or even the Mossad agent that's standing right next to Khamenei right now, because there literally is one, because Khamenei's been a fucking Mossad agent his whole fucking life. He's controlled by the Mossad, and if you want to believe anything else, you don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, the mullahs are controlled by the Mossad, big time. Why? Because they want continuous destabilization in the Middle East. Why do they want continuous destabilization in the Middle East? Because the longer that the Middle East is destabilized, the more defense funding, weapons, and building out that Israel can bring about to engage in warfare with other countries and nations and people in the Middle East to further expand their greater Israel. That is the world in 5 minutes.
To bring us back, there was a comment that was no, you're good. You're on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt it. And this is not a shot against King Lopez on YouTube, because there's quite a few people that share this opinion. But King 8 Lopez says, I think I did nothing. Q is a psyop. The only thing I did was prepare for the worst. We can't even deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Let that sink in. And here's the thing. Trump could easily just deport him. Trump could easily go and have the U.S. Marshals arrest Obama. And then what would we do? We'd all clap. Yeah, I told you. Vindication. And then what? That's my question to you guys. Then what? Do you know the way the mechanism works?
So do you exploit laws on the books to bring them to the public attention, so therefore they cannot be utilized by other administrations, but then you can go in and have them changed to make it more fair for everybody?
You balance the checkbook when it comes to laws, absolutely. But in addition to that, in the frustration, what are people doing every day right now? They're going in and they're researching the laws for ICE, for CBP, for HSI. They're researching immigration laws. People are saying, well, this judge can't do this because of this. And people are learning the truth of how it works. People are learning, hey, why does this law even exist? Who sponsored it? Who pushed it? And that's what I meant earlier when I said part of this plan was to expose how the mechanism works. Because if you just get arrest and rallies, then nothing's solved, folks. Once he leaves, then what? So what you're seeing right now through the frustration, why hasn't this happened and why hasn't that happened? Well, one is we all want to call for accountability on the FBI. We all want to call for accountability on the DOJ. And we all want to call for accountability on the president. But what about us? I mean, accountability starts with us. If these people are in power, well, they were able to steal that power. Who's accountable for letting them steal it? We, the people. You know, when we and Benjamin Franklin said it, you know, when you start to sacrifice your rights for the promise of safety, you'll lose both and deserve neither.
Yeah.
And what we're realizing is that. And that's that understanding of the mechanism that's being exposed right now. You know, me and Josh, you know, following Venezuela, we did say it, folks. We said it's going to be Mexico. That was several that was months ago. Like that was a while ago.
Right after Venezuela. No, it was right after Venezuela. We said Mexico is next.
I think we even said it probably the same night in that conversation because we were up late that night. But nonetheless, and why? Because we have an understanding of the way it's the you know, Josh mentioned it, you know, and I've talked about it in a post. You know, one of the things that caught my attention very early last year. Why is Trump continuing to build the military presence at the southern border if we already locked it down nearly 100%? And that's when I said, there's something going on here. He knows something. He's preparing for something. He's calling for QRF teams in all 50 states to deal with, you know, mass unrest. That's interesting. When you look at the totality of everything that's happened over the last 13 and a half months, you can kind of see the picture of what's going. Another thing that we've talked about multiple times, leak operations. Trump doesn't like leaks. If you don't have OPSEC, your plans will fail. And all the stuff that we ultimately want to see, mass arrests, you know, gulags, etc., you got to have OPSEC to get there. You know, gulags, baby.
I don't really want to see gulags, no offense.
I don't want to see us in gulags. I want to see other people in some gulags. But yeah, you know, it's just alligator Alcatraz. You know, we can get creative. But the point I'm trying to say is, you know, and go back to, you know, King 8 Lopez's statement. What you're seeing here is the part of the plan. Part of the plan is not to solve it for you, but it's for you to understand how it's being solved. So you realize what's the actionable part that I have in this. Because if you're relying on someone else to win this war for you, then guess what? That's not sovereignty. That's still slavery. You're just saying, hey, I like this person that's doing it. When you understand that the plan is the collaboration of we the people with an extension of we the people, understand white hats are the people. And so when you understand that there's that collaboration that's working together, then you start to have, okay, I'm vested in this. And that's how we get to this win. So, you know, to bring it back to, I wanted to cover that because it's so important. And I know that conversation is important to other people because trust me, that conversation is being had with some very powerful people on how do we get the audience to understand that they need to be actively involved. You know, like just understand there's very important people right now that are trying to game theory out how do we get we the people more involved in all the different capacities, no matter how young, no matter how old. There's a lot of that going on. The cartel stuff that's unfolding right now. You know, we're talking about what's going on in the Middle East. Trump and the white hats, they have the deep state right now running around with the chicken with its head cut off. They are trying to deploy the elements they need for chaos in the United States with these terror units that are from the cartel. But at the same time, they see Trump positioning in the Middle East. So are they like, okay, is he coming after us economically? Is he going to do something kinetically? You know, when they have to be reactionary and they can't be proactive, they lose. And that's what Trump's doing. And that's what's always had us on the losing end. We've always been reactionary. And what you're seeing from Trump right now are proactive moves to make them reactionary so that he can control what's going on. Claudia Scheinbaum's just like, my people are pissed, Congress pissed, my handlers are pissed. They're telling me to do this. I don't know what's going on. We just turned over 37 cartel leaders to the United States. That's what's unfolding right now. And why is it unfolding? I'll give it right back to you here, Josh.
No, yeah, you're fine.
There was a plan for the cartels and their terror units, the people that are training them, that are here in the United States, all the stuff that you've seen in movies, Circle K being blown up, a baseball game being attacked. You have a lot of, Islamic extremism. You have a lot of CCP that are tapped into the cartels for training and execution. And they wanted to bring that stateside. And Trump is rug pulling the hell out of them so that when they do it, they don't have the mass effect that they want. Hopefully, they don't even get to do it.
Spot on. So everybody was wondering why Tom Homan's team at DHS was running around with a special operations team, which were basically special forces that had DHS badges during the time that Tom Homan was just visiting cities, and they were just kind of, grabbing grandmas and stuff like that. Well, it was a reconnaissance mission to find out the movements of all of these players. This is what has been happening, and we laid it out. And now you're seeing the fruits of all of that play out. Now, does that mean that there's not black cell terrorist groups in the United States? Very possibly could be. We've talked about it with the Firestorm, that there could be these terrorist organizations. Hezbollah Unit 910. I haven't seen any of them deported or arrested yet. Al-Qaeda. Haven't seen any of them deported or arrested yet. And so is that still a threat? I don't think so. I think they've identified all of these groups because they feel very confident to begin striking inside of Mexico and Central America, throw Delta Force in Venezuela and take out Maduro, to put basically proxy sanctions on Cuba, to go out there and surround Iran with the United States Navy. If they're feeling very comfortable doing that, then I'm assured almost that the infrastructure that they had for their plan has been rug pulled. Exactly what Alpha said.
I want people to see that there's going to be, we keep talking about it all the time, and it keeps happening. The confusion that's being deployed right now. And here's the thing. I hate saying this, but it is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong. You're seeing influencers exposed right now ad nauseum. And the thing is they're being exposed by the very people that some would argue they worship, because these people that are in these powerful leadership roles are coming out and putting out information, and they're letting people look stupid when they don't understand it, and they go along with it. Just, well, so-and-so said it, and then all of a sudden something else happens. There's a massive exposure in the influence community that's happening right now. And I'll just say, we said back in, I want to say it was December, maybe early January, that you were going to see the exposure of these people. And maybe we're just good at guessing, but this is where we're at. And one of the things that people are concerned right now with, to bring it back, is, who do we trust? Who do we listen to? And that's the thing, is yourself. You ain't going to lie to yourself. You know how to investigate. If you hear me and Josh here talking about our cartels, whether we're talking about, the Jalisco cartel, whichever one, you have the ability to go look that up and vet that information and be like, oh, this is what they were talking about. Oh, I'm tracking here. I get this. And what does that do? That makes you a detective. That makes you a digital soldier. And if there's anything that's taken away from the conversation tonight, because I know I'm going to sound like a broken record over the next few weeks with this, you have to be involved. Period. If you're a spectator, you're a victim. If you're just an audience member, you're a victim. And that choice is solely up to you. Solely. If you're someone that's like, I'm too elderly. Well, if you have time to watch a podcast, you have time to call a friend, a family member, or a neighbor and drop some information on their lap.
Yep. So I wrote a post earlier on X, and I said, if you haven't realized it yet, the majority of big accounts on this platform are nothing more than echo chambers. And then I quoted a Q post, and I want to read the Q post for everybody. And I only quoted one part of it, but the whole post is completely relevant. And this is 4535, June 28th. There's 5 different posts like this, and they all add on a new part. But a person's value, vote, monetary value, and then blank. Why is free thought ridiculed, challenged, and threatened when a person is opposed to mainstream narrative? 2, remains fixed. Degrees allowable by economic repression and expansion. 1, remains a variable. 1, dependent on a controlled system of information dissemination. What happens when 90% of the media is controlled and owned by 6 corporations? What happens when those same corporations are operated and controlled by a political ideology? What happens when the news is no longer free from bias? What happens when the news is no longer reliable or independent? What happens when the news is no longer trustworthy? What happens when news simply becomes an extension arm of a political party? Facts become fiction, fiction becomes fact. When does news become propaganda? Identity creation. How does the average person who is under constant financial stress by design find time to research and discern fact versus fiction? Majority of people more prone to believe someone in power sitting behind a big brand news name. Do people, the human psyche, tend to follow the majority mainstream viewpoint in fear of being isolated and or shunned? Mainstream is used for a reason: dominate, trend, and opinion. If the majority of people believe X, then X must be validated true. Why do mainstream media heads within different orgs always use the same keywords and or catchphrases? Coordinated by who? Outside entity providing instructions. Do they count on the fact that people, the human psyche, are more prone to believe something if heard over and over again by different trusted sources? Do echo chamber tactics provide validation, credibility to the topic point being discussed? Threat to intellectual freedom. Would control over or of these institutions and organizations allow for the mass control of populations, viewpoint, desired topic? Read again and digest. Would control over of these institutions and organizations allow for mass control of populations, viewpoint, and desired topic? Think the BLM push every 4 years. Logical thinking. Why, after the election in 2016, did the Democrats and the media courts jumpstart a coordinated and planned this divisive blitz intended to create falsehoods, illegitimacy of elections, character assassination of POTUS through sexism, racism, or every other ism? How much of the population still believes POTUS colluded with Russia due to the MSDNC 365 blitz? No MSDNC retraction of POTUS Russia collusion narrative. Propaganda. Why? Pre-post 2016 election. Why were our violent mass terror orgs such as Antifa immediately created, funded, and allowed to operate within Dem-controlled cities, safe zones? Why were these orgs tasked with immediate intimidation, shutdown of any pro-POTUS rallies or events? Why were marches immediately organized to counter and silence pro-POTUS rallies and or events? Why were marches immediately organized which divided people into sex, gender, race, and isms? When you control the levers of news dissemination, you control the narrative. Control the narrative equals power. When you are blind, what do you see? They want you divided by religion, divided by race, divided by sex, divided by political affiliation, divided by class. When you are divided and angry and controlled, you target those different from you, not those responsible, the controllers. Divided, you are weak. Divided, you pose no threat to their control. When non-dogmatic information becomes free and transparent, it becomes a threat to those who attempt to control the narrative and or stable. Livestock kept equals sheep. When you are awake, you stand on the outside of the stable, groupthink collective, and have free thought. Free thought is a philosophical viewpoint which holds that positions regarding truth should be formed on the basis of logic, reason, and empiricism rather than authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma. This represents a clear and present danger to our constitutional republic of the United States of America. Now, I got some ideas of who wrote that post, but I'll tell you right now, if you go to X, even on the conservative side, watch what they're posting. Watch how they take snippets of other posts and they just regurgitate it. The majority, like, do you follow what is it? Raw news, not raw news. What is his name? It's the dude that did the puppy dog. He was.
I know you're talking about. I do not.
Yeah, real news or real raw news, whatever it is.
No, it's
raw alerts. This guy is not a news agency, guys. Okay. All he does is he goes out there, scours X, and takes the next big story and just puts a breaking next to it and posts it on his account. It's just a regurgitation of what someone else is saying. Now go out to all of the big MAGA accounts out there. Look what they're doing. All the certain little keywords. Holy shit. Wow. Breaking. Crazy. Did you see this? It's all the same shit over and over and over. And they're just copy and pasting, putting the AI, rearrange the words, and posting it as their own. Nobody's doing any real critical thought or discernment upon the news that they're propagating out there. This is incredibly dangerous because what begins to happen is if you start throwing unconfirmed information out there, people can get hurt. And I'm surprised a lot of these influencers have not got sued already. Do you remember when we were talking about
I can answer that for you.
Oh, no, what I mean is, like, you remember
real quick, why are some of these influencers not getting sued by some of these people in defamation? Because some of these people are intelligence assets and they don't want to go through the court process because some of that stuff's going to get exposed.
There you go.
just putting it out there, folks. Just so you know.
When they throw a shooter out there and they put the wrong guy's names out there, and thousands of big name accounts are propagating that name, and the mainstream news media picks it up, and then they find out it's not the right person, that's defamation. Okay. And trust me, that information can be pumped into the system by the enemy just as easy by just miscalculation. And this is why it is so critical. And I do it. I've done it too. I put some bad information. I go immediately delete it. I make my corrections. But I'm saying the majority of these people are paid. And you should be asking the question, who are they paid by?
You want to talk about pissing some people off. start getting that conversation out there. I know people would be like, well, why does this all matter? And, I saw some people in the chat, and I didn't save it, so I can't get the name, but, you already did all the work, folks. No, it hasn't. It's done a lot of work, but there's still work to be done. And this is the mindset that a lot of content creators have made you think. You've been programmed and psyoped by people you trust and love, because they were appealing to you. We are in a war for our nation right now. We are in a war for humanity. The Q team, the white hats, President Trump, they're absolutely doing a lot of work. But without the involvement, without the actions of we the people to supplement them, it fails. It fails, folks. Like, that's the part you guys have to understand. Everybody has to ask yourself, well, what am I doing right now to help? John F. Kennedy asked not what your country has done for you, but what you can do for your country. Like, that's where we're at. There's, in the post, I think it's in the end, if you look up, or the end, if you look up, where it has a lot to do with the oaths, which goes to, I think we know who wrote that one as well. That oath was addressed to you, the reader. And the biggest shameful thing that was done in the Q community by people who were trusted as voices was to make people think that everything's completely solved and fine and there's no work by us to do. And I agree with Josh. Some did it because they didn't know any better. Some knew exactly what they were doing and trying to sabotage the movement. You have to understand, as much that's been done, and I agree with Josh completely, with some of the top people that Trump has made them expose themselves, and people that are being removed. We see the resignations, but these are all just phases. If you do not abandon the mindset that it's already done, and outside of, I don't want to go into the scriptural part with people, but if you don't abandon that mindset, you are making it harder for the white hats. You're making it harder for President Trump.
So, do you remember when President Trump gave his speech in 2016? He said, "We are returning the power back to the American people." Now, I want everybody to understand that in 2016, when he said that, the American people did not have that power back. Even in 2020, the American people did not have that power back. even in 2025, the American people did not have that power back. And what I'm talking about here, you should be asking inside your head, what is my power? Because if you can't answer that question immediately, right off the bat, then guess what? You're powerless in a system designed for you to have power over it. And if you don't know what that power is, that's why we're talking about this right now. That's why that you got to say, okay, well, let me figure out what that power is. What if I told you there's a fourth branch of government you were never taught in social studies classes? And that fourth branch of government has two parts. Two parts because in the 1900s, our Congress did us a disservice and added a new part in there because corporations wanted a voice. One is called the lobby and the other is called the people. And they are the two sides that have the voice of Senate, of Congress, and the president. And here's the thing. The one that wins that war, that game, is the one who's the loudest, either through money and influence or through sheer outrage. You have the power of voice, but in order for that voice to come together, we have to come together as people. We have to be in action. This is why I call for accountability. People are like, man, you keep on saying that accountability is going to come in the summer. Why are you calling for accountability? Because that's my job. That's my right. That's my purpose. That's my power, is to continuously call for accountability. I don't give a shit if they go out and arrest Barack, HRC. I'm still going to be calling for accountability. I'm going to hold the administration accountable for shit that I don't like and shit that they said they were going to do, they haven't done. Why? That's my power. And to see, the thing is we have to organize around each other to ensure that they continuously get that message. The Epstein files is the greatest example of the power of the people. It was one of the biggest psyops in the world that DJT played on all of us. And only a few people actually saw it, because what we had was massive MAGA meltdowns. Like, he's in the Epstein files. Oh my God. No, it was the biggest setup psyop in the world. And Donald Trump played coy, like, oh, can we just forget about this Jeffrey Epstein guy already? Can we just make this go away? I don't want to deal with it. And that pushed people further and further to what people rose up and they demanded from their congressmen and their senators. What did you have? Almost 100% of all Congress bipartisan support for a bill releasing it. And then it comes out and people are like, but guess what? They came out, and there's more to come. Trust me, there's going to be another bill. It's going to be releasing more documents, and there's more to come. Why? Because the people are demanding it. The UFO stuff that's coming out right now, right? You notice the people aren't demanding it. There's a few players here and there, but the people aren't demanding it. I will tell you, nope, but I'm telling you right now, if the people aren't demanding it and it's coming out, you didn't ask for it and it's coming out, why? Because it's part of an agenda. It's part of what the Trump administration's doing. And once you realize how this administration operates, you can see the future. And if you guys want to get into that in a little bit, I'll definitely get into that because I love this topic.
Well, I definitely want to touch on the hospital boat that Trump's sending to Greenland.
Did you see my post that?
Hold on. Get it set up because I want to. Let me land this accountability section, because this is not just something that's important to me and Josh, folks. This is very important to some people that you guys respect very much. And that's why we are trying to communicate this message. And I'm going to piss some people off with this too, but you guys know I do it out of honesty. How many people, and trust me, this shot's going to be a punch in the ribs to some of my friends. Hopefully not Josh. I don't know if he posted it. Maybe to Josh too. We'll see, because we don't script the show. But a lot of people were coming out. Patel's celebrating the hockey team and he's drinking a beer. How can he be celebrating when he's supposed to be doing all this stuff?
KS.
So, some of you in the chat probably liked that, reshared it. I know a lot of my friends did. Let me ask you this. How many of you still went to the movies while people were dying under bridges? How many of you were still going out to barbecues while the ICE riots were breaking out in Minnesota? How many of you were still going on with life while people were in hospitals during COVID in the, isolated? How many of you continued to live life when J6ers were in solitary confinement? How many of you were going to the movies when parents were being raided by the FBI because they went to school boards? How many of you? So let me get this straight. You want to scream accountability for your director of the FBI for doing something like going to the Olympic hockey game, but yet you don't want to sacrifice in your own life. I mean,
I know who posted that too, and
I know
I was followed by him for like 3 days, and that was it. He unfollowed me.
Listen, one of my very good friends did.
Yeah.
We had a conversation on the phone today. It was a fun one. It was a fun one, but he wasn't the only one. And here's my thing. There are very few people that can come out and say, and believe it or not, he's actually one of the people that is in a position to say it, because he has sacrificed a lot to continue fighting that stuff. But a lot of people that were sharing that mindset, I see them pictures having fun at galas. I see them with pictures at Mar-a-Lago.
Mhm.
I see. So it's just like, so you can do it, but he can't. Or are you just kind of adopting yourself and attaching yourself to what seems to be, well, this is kind of what everybody agrees with and feels, and so it must be right. The thing that's going to make you guys a powerful warrior is your ability to recognize when it's time to go against the grain. And that's what Trump needs right now. Trump needs American citizens, digital soldiers, and anons who have the courage to be like, all my friends are saying this, but right here, my discernment is telling me this. I know how I feel about this, and it ain't the way all my friends do.
Mhm.
You could be quiet, or you could speak up. And the reason you need to speak up is because you are then going to empower other people that share that opinion with you. The Q community has been, I'll land it right here. Just want people to recognize this. The Q community has been infiltrated, folks. And the only way that you take that power back is you have to be involved. That's the only way. Go ahead, Josh.
So I saw him, people are like they're criticizing him for having a beard. No, they're saying that he used a government plane to fly to Canada. That's misappropriation of funds because he was there for personal reasons. But what I don't think they realize is that he was sent there by President Trump. President Trump sent him and his entourage to there to be in the locker room. If you didn't notice, there was a locker room phone call from Donald Trump right afterwards, and he invited the whole USA soccer team, men and women, to the State of the Union Tuesday. Trump sent them there. When the president says, hey, go to Canada and watch this hockey game, have a few beers with the players, you're going to go. And you're going to use government funds. And Trump even says it is like, the great thing about, he said, we're going to send a military plane to pick you guys up at Miami and bring you to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday night for the State of the Union. The great thing about military planes, I know there's a nor'easter coming, a big storm. He said, we can land in any type of weather. We're not shut down by airports. So we'll get you there. I promise you. If you guys listen to the call, it's really important because what he's doing, he's actually sticking up for Kash Patel, saying basically, I put Kash there. Kash is there because of me. I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted a representative there. That's what he was doing there. So I didn't repost it like, how dare you, Kash, have a beer with the hockey team? I'm like, no.
I didn't either. I got it. I saw it and I said, I know I'm gonna have an opinion on this, but I'm gonna handle it back.
I think most of the stuff that some people are reaching for is a stretch. And it seems personal. Very personal.
I have a theory, and I won't go into that theory here. But here's what my personal opinion, and this is why you guys don't ever want Alpha to be president or like the general. My personal opinion is, until this war's over, ain't nobody having fun. Ain't nobody going to World Series. Ain't nobody going to the Super Bowl. Ain't nobody no, we're not celebrating while shit's popping off at the border. We're not celebrating while illegals are having Americans killed. We're not like I'm I'm probably too hard ass where I'd piss everybody off and destroy morale because I would just look at it as no, we're gonna work. And as the wheels start falling off, we'll get new vehicles. But President Trump has way more knowledge than I do. He has to gauge the temperature of not just the American people, but the administration that he's built to help rescue the American people. And so I understand that too. But outside of my personal opinion, I saw a bunch of hypocrites on social media today.
Mhm.
And I will call it out even when it's my friends because that's the way it is.
All right. Everybody's wondering what the hell was this about? Working with the fantastic governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry. If you didn't remember, Jeff Landry is the one that came to Trump and said, hey, I want to head all the negotiations for Greenland. I will go over there. I will talk to him. So that's why Jeff Landry. We are going to send a great hospital boat to Greenland to take care of the many people who are sick and not being taken care of. It's on the way, President DJT. This post is so fucking crazy. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is crazy. There's two hospital ships in the United States Navy, the USNS Mercy and the USNS Comfort. Right now, both ships are in dry dock in Alabama and not scheduled to get out for months. What's he talking about here? And then I posted this on my X and I said, why are people sick in Greenland and how come this is not something we knew before? What is he talking about? Do you have any idea?
I'm telling you, man. Listen. This ain't the. I mean, I guess we can go tinfoil hat here a little bit. I don't think those are hospital ships.
No.
No. They may have some medical quarters on there, but I think these things are something far more than hospital ships. And for those that maybe don't remember, these are the ships that you had one deployed to New York and you had one deployed to Los Angeles during COVID. I forget which one went which direction, but these are those ships. A lot of people, well, I mean, the news reported it. We just never really saw, except for like snippets. But you had from what's the famous park in New York?
Oh, Central Park. So it was
Central
the
Park.
USNS Mercy that went to Pier 98 off of the Hudson in Manhattan.
98, you say?
Yeah, I did a whole thing on this.
That's interesting because 9 + 8 is 17, but that's probably just a coincidence. But you had, if you remember, they said that they found some people in Central Park and that they were taken to the hospital. And people were like, what do you mean? They found people in Central Park? Like everything's quarantine. And so that brought up the conversation of dumbs and underground things, etc. And then you had another one that came over here to California. So I personally think there's more to these ships that are being reported. And I know that I have a problem navigating this part of this conversation because my brain is still normie stuck on the Geneva Convention, and you can't put a cross on something that's military, like my brain's stuck in that realm, Josh.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, is that maybe there's something more going on with Greenland than actually meets the eye.
Yeah, that's definitely a safe way of saying it.
And that maybe that was a message to somebody other than it being something literal.
They're not in water, bro.
What are not in water?
Those boats. They're not out in the ocean.
No, that's what I just said. So if you actually go to this post and you look at the community notes, the USNS Mercy and her sister ship, the USNS Comfort, are both in dry dock in Mobile, Alabama. They're not in water. Undergoing repairs. They are the U.S. Navy's only two hospital ships, and they're not going anywhere. So they are definitely not in water. But what you're saying is maybe they're not, maybe what he's talking about here when he says that we are going to send a great hospital boat. By the way, he doesn't say ship, he says boat.
He doesn't name a ship.
Nope. He says, send a great hospital boat to Greenland to take care of the many people who are sick and not being taken care of there. It's on the way. Maybe it's a different kind of ship.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking, bro.
Well, because boats are usually submarines. Just so when you say boat is a submarine.
There was a guy that I think we all hate, Yuval Noah Harari.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, he sometimes he uses the word ark, sometimes he uses the word ship. It makes me wonder is, we're thinking, U.S. Navy ships, we're thinking the USS Minnow, right? 3-hour tour. But are they referencing something different, man? Trump put that image out.
Right. It's the most obscure damn post that I've seen in a long time. Now, what's also interesting about this post, going back into it, is I want to show people something. This image right here is probably AI generated, but look where it's headed towards. Those are icy mountaintops. That's Greenland. What is there something deeper, darker going on in Greenland that we might not understand?
The boat, like if you zoom in on the image, the back of the boat has the USS Mercy on it, but he doesn't reference it in the text. Because I was trying to figure out like some things, are there any hints, to the image itself, and it just couldn't find nothing on this one, man. Counted the words, looked at the timestamps, like
nothing correlated, nothing jived.
But he put it out there, and again, this will be a great conversation for us to have in the future too on Guardian, overwatching the Guardian. There's more to Greenland than just its location, and granted, it has a military strategic, importance. Especially when you start getting into ballistic missiles and nuclear missiles and things like that. But also when you start looking at the North Pole and the South Pole, and that article will be coming out soon that kind of explain that a little bit further. But there's more to Greenland than just strategic positioning, for military and for the coldness. And I think this goes into a lot of the disclosures that are coming, because how do you get people to accept? And I'm not talking about our audience, but I'm talking about normies, the vast majority of the population. How do you get them to accept that we're going to have to do certain things? Like Trump said, we're going to Greenland one way or another. Like that's him saying it, not me. Like he said, we're going to get it one way or another. And so how do you get normal people to subscribe to allowing the president to take Greenland one way or another? They're going to have to understand the level of importance to that. And I think that's why these disclosure conversations are coming out, because those are going to help support the arguments of why Trump is going to take Greenland. And then I'm just going to come out and say it, bro. Just everybody pay attention to Argentina and Chile.
So you ready for this? You remember on Overwatching the Guardian, we were talking about DUMBs, deep underground military bases, and we talked about how the from 2000 to 2024, over $22 trillion was spent on building and upgrading underground military bases, which are not being used by our military. Now, remember how I've always talked about autonomous areas, autonomous zones, countries that basically don't have a lot of international oversight, Venezuela, Ukraine, these types. Well, Greenland would actually be somewhere in that realm. I mean, it's a very small population, less than 50,000 people. The majority of the island is uninhabited. Did you know that there was a Cold War U.S. Army base known as Camp Century, which, guess what, was a deep underground military base in Greenland?
You know how many total bases we've had in Greenland?
How many?
Guess, bro. You'll know the number.
17.
17.
So check this out. Officially presented as a scientific research facility, it was a part of Project Iceworm, a secret plan to deploy up to 600 nuclear missiles beneath the Greenland ice sheet. The base, constructed between 1959 and 1960s, spanned 21 tunnels over 9,800 feet and housed a mini nuclear reactor. It was abandoned in 1967 due to melting ice threatening its stability. Here's the key. In April 2024, NASA scientists rediscovered the base using airborne radar, revealing its buried structures beneath 100 feet of ice.
Well, let me add some stuff to that, because I've seen some people in the chat. They're like, Alpha, how do you get to Argentina and Chile from Greenland? Let me ask, and you probably do know this, Josh, because you fucking know everything. Josh, are there penguins in the North Pole?
Yes.
Actually, very, very, very few.
Well, there's still more than one.
Penguins. Well, they're there, but they're not there naturally. So the penguins that exist are that people have brought them. Penguins naturally are in the southern hemisphere. You're going to find this at the South Pole.
And Donald Trump posted a photo of him walking with a penguin in Greenland.
So what he's doing, what I perceive this, I'm letting my article out of the bag here. What I perceive that to mean, because I haven't seen nobody push it yet, is controlling. He's bringing in the collaboration, the connection of the North and the South Pole. These two things that are massively important to energy and what's coming, and he's saying, I'm going to control both.
Yeah, I think that there's something else going on here. So, well, and I know people, when we start to think dumbs, we think children. I think that it's a possibility. I'm not going to discount that, but I look in the context of technology. My thoughts are that what if there was something beneath the ice, maybe being housed in that deep underground military facility that is, made people sick, right? Technology. Let's deviate into this conversation, because I think that this needs to be talked about, and we kind of are segueing into it right now. So this last weekend, Trump came out and he said, so this came after a few different scenarios. Barack Obama's on a podcast. Barack Obama was asked a question: are aliens real? Barack Obama, yeah, they're real, and then goes into more information. This comes after Laura Trump was seeding the narrative that Trump has a speech ready for the existence of extraterrestrials. And
let me interrupt you real quick just to address someone in the chat. It says Greenland's full of penguins. It is not. There are no penguins in Greenland, folks. Look it up.
I gotta ask ChatGPT this.
Research it. There are no penguins in Greenland. There, you are gonna find them in the, like I said, you will find them in the southern hemisphere. You are not going to find them in Greenland or the North Pole.
No, penguins do not live in Greenland or Iceland as parts of the natural range. They evolved primarily in the southern hemisphere. Yep, Alpha's right. Okay.
I just wanted to put that out there, because the symbol that Trump did it for a reason.
He did. And I missed that one. I got to go back and check this out now. So
I'll send you the article, what I have so far, and you could probably add some stuff.
Well, maybe it cross correlates to what I'm about to get into. So Laura Trump is prepping the narrative. Barack Obama comes out mysteriously and weirdly and says, yes, aliens are real. And then he goes in, but they're not held at Area 51 or any of this stuff. And he goes, I've never seen any information on this. Then he retracts his statement 2 days later. And then Trump is asked by Peter Doocy, former President Barack Obama said that aliens are real. And he goes, he got that from classified information. Understand what that meant when Trump, and by the way, if you watch Trump's facial construction, we did this in the last Thursday show, Trump is being serious. He got that from classified information. So maybe now I'm going to have to declassify it to help him out. And then Trump comes out and puts the post out. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Because I want to read it for people. And then I'm going to tell you what I have discovered this is actually about. I haven't even told Alpha this, but I figured out what this was all about through really good people out there in the world. And if there's somebody watching who maybe knows what I'm about to talk about, maybe they can confirm or deny it when I come out and I talk about this. But let me go in here. I want to pull up his post.
You got
Come
me
on, man.
You got the anticipation, bro. It's killing me right now.
Okay, there it is. He puts out this one right here. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Now, why is this interesting? Number one, Donald Trump didn't write this. This is almost a kind of the wording is almost extracted out of Schumer's bill for disclosure, which means that it was Burleson or Luna that probably wrote this post for him. He probably asked them, hey, we're going to do it. I want you to send me something. And they wrote this post for him. This is planned, people. And I'm going to tell you why it's planned and what you're going to see. Okay. So I did a post earlier today on my X account. If you read it, I'm glad. If you didn't, buckle up because this is what's going to happen. This is following in with a Trump narrative of what's going on. What people will really learn from the Trump UFO declassification. This is not aliens, nor is it Hollywood disclosure. When Donald Trump opens up the UAP UFO archives, what comes out will mostly reshape how people understand science, defense, and technology, not confirm extraterrestrial civilizations. Here's what the public is far more likely to discover. And I want to give a point here. You remember when the Epstein files were released unorganized and just in PDFs all over the place? Did you notice the DOJ didn't come out and say, oh, this is what we discovered. This is what we found. Here's a summary. This is how they didn't give any opinion at all. That's how this is going to go. But this is what's going to happen. The most UFO cases are unresolved engineering problems, not alien stories. Expect radar logs, infrared data, pilot encounters, and sensor anomalies, not origin narratives. You'll see how often advanced systems recorded objects with unusual acceleration, signature loss, or maneuvering, and how frequently analysts simply couldn't reconcile these observations with existing aerospace models. The takeaway won't be who built them. It'll be how limited our current frameworks are. The government scientists have been studying these anomalous physics for decades. People will realize this wasn't ignored. It was compartmentalized. Different agencies looked at propulsion signatures, material behaviors, electromagnetic effects, and atmospheric interactions, but rarely in unified ways. Disclosure will discuss how fragmented research slowed understanding and why integration matters more than secrecy. Number three, that the real story is technology extraction, not extraterrestrial confirmation. Institutions don't respond to anomalies by announcing visitors. They respond by asking, what physical principles are present? Can we model them? Can we reproduce pieces of it? What emerges won't be alien craft. It'll be gravity-adjacent research, material breakthroughs, plasma studies, and unconventional propulsion models quietly entering universities and industry. That's the migration path. The AI is now being used to synthesize decades of suppressed or siloed science. What do I mean by that? This is the Genesis mission, utilizing government AIs that are interconnected to all national laboratories, research science platforms, all of the papers published over the last 60 years. This is the biggest shift. The documents themselves matter less than the fact that they're being fed into a national scale AI system, the Genesis mission, alongside 60 years of scientific papers, experiments, and lab data. That means anomalies become data sets, and data sets become discoveries. This is how unresolved phenomena turn into usable engineering. Number five, that disclosure isn't a moment, it's a process. There'll be no single revelation. Instead, people will slowly notice strange new physics papers, unexpected material advances, rapid innovation in energy and propulsion, research that feels like it came out of nowhere. It didn't. It came from decades of classified observation finally being integrated into modern science. This isn't alien disclosure. It's a structured scientific release process designed to transition advanced research into the public domain. What's coming won't be confirmation of extraterrestrials. It'll be decades of observational data, aerospace analysis, sensor logs, and research findings that were previously compartmentalized inside defense and intelligence systems. Disclosure in this context is not about beings, it's about frameworks. It's about taking what has been studied for years, all of these things. It's a technological integration. They're not preparing you for aliens. Aliens are preparing the scientific ecosystem for accelerated advancement by releasing data that's been studied for decades. That's what this phase of disclosure actually represents. In other words, when I talked about a 500-year leap in technological advancement in a short 20-year period, you got to remember the government classified nuclear research and technology in 1962. Okay. All of this technology, all of the sensor data that came in, radar data, observational data that came in from UFOs and UAP experiences has been classified. All of that is going to enter the mainstream, be put into AI systems. And guess what? I've talked about this, how our government has highly advanced exotic technology, whether ancient civilization, whether from another planet, whatnot.
We did a great space on it a few days ago.
We did. You're not going to see that. And the reason being is because they have limited use of these types of technologies because of the integrated frameworks and infrastructure that is needed to operate them. In other words, when you need a quantum computer to basically operate an asymmetric gravitational drive, and what I mean by that, it's not a gravitational drive that's creating gravity or gravity well, that's immense amounts of energy. It's something that actually just manipulates the gravitational field itself. Think about splashing your hand in water and water ripples back. It's a pressure gradient. And when you have a differential and pressure gradient in a field, you can manipulate that field. That's how they manipulate gravity. It's actually low energy physics that brings that about. And we've known about this for a long time. The problem is that the velocities that come about from that, basically surfing gravity, need immense calculations. And that the immense calculations take a computer that won't fit on board any drone or craft. So you need to be able to miniaturize quantum technology or artificial intelligence to the point where you can put it in this. And then you have to have the data processing capacity to actually run this tech. We don't have that. This is why our alien recreation vehicles, as people call them, are very limited in scope and have never been released or commercialized. Don't you think that if the U.S. government had reverse engineered one of these alien craft from Roswell, that you wouldn't have like the fighter jets of the alien armada flying around saying, we got air superiority, technological superiority, China, shut up, get back in your little hole, we don't care. They would have done it a long time ago. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that we have advanced technology, but we don't have the infrastructure to substantiate it. This disclosure is going to bring about the infrastructure that is going to move physics in the direction to not the infrastructure. It's going to move physics in the direction to build out the infrastructure to substantiate it and bring about a natural technological evolution. Although exponentiated very, very fast, it's going to happen. So, and I don't think the government's going to come out one way or another and say, yeah, there's little green men or there's extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be about the sensor data. People are going to be very disappointed with the data that comes out, but scientists are going to be all over it.
I think we'll get the non-human biologics hinted a little bit.
Well, I'm not saying, but you're not going to get a confirmation.
No.
Potentially. You can see Trump come out later this year and say, hey, look, we just release all this information. It proves unequivocally that we are not alone in the universe. Although they're going to say we have no contact with them, or we do have, I don't know. I think that moment's going to come.
Here's why it's rough. Because the Smith Modernization Act is still in play, like they can come out and tell us anything. He can come out and say, hey, look, here we have information that suggests that there's life outside of just humans, but I haven't seen it. I've been to area 51 or 41, and there ain't no lizard people out there. I mean, he can just lie.
Well, maybe they are,
or maybe they are. I'm curious. Here's the other thing too. Like he's got the State of the Union. That's going to be important. When he makes this statement, that's going to be important. But neither one of those things could be so important that it's going to take away from the upcoming testimonies of the Clintons, or maybe it is. Maybe he knows that the Clinton, Hillary, and Bill coming to speak are going to be big nothing burgers. And I mean, I don't know. The next 2 weeks, man, is going to be interesting. Something was sent to me a few hours
ago. Madness.
Yeah, it's definitely, bro. Definitely. Something was sent to me a few hours ago. I should have brought this up during the Mexico conversation, but I feel like maybe we can fit it in here. It was sent to me with, I'm not going to say who, but I'll tell you what they said along with the photo, and I'm going to share it with everybody. Does something smell suspicious? And here's the photo, and I said, thank God I'm going to be doing a show with Josh tonight because I'm going to take advantage. Check out this image. This is what was sent to me. And let me take down the banner for those that want to see the sourcing on there. It says estimated production 2024, metric tons in Mexico, 6.3K. Mexico leads global production despite having only 6% of the world's reserves. And you see right there, the world's top silver producers. And then Mexico's almost doubled China.
That's right. Now, isn't that interesting that we were just talking about China's position and role, how they put arms exports through the PLA licensing on silver exports. Basically, you can't use silver for bombs or missiles or satellites if you're buying from China. And China controls, I think, 67 to 70% of all processing and manufacturing of silver products in the world, and they all flow through there. But Mexico is one of the top silver producers in the world. And what's going on in Mexico? Oh, we're annihilating the cartels. Oh, see how that works?
I mean, is silver going to be a commodity that's needed for this tech infrastructure that you're talking about, Josh?
Well, you need rare earth minerals and metals. You need energy. What did the DOE do this last week? They shipped. This is so fucking mind blowing. It's not really mind blowing because what they're not telling you is remember that post I was just reading about Greenland, how they had a micronuclear reactor there. Right. So the DOE in March of 2024 said that we're launching a new technology initiative to bring micronuclear reactors to reality, to start bringing them to military bases over the next couple years. They just sent their first micronuclear reactor a week ago.
They showed pictures, bro.
Yeah, it's less than a year since they announced the project. Wait a minute. You're going to tell me that you put that motherfucker together in less than a year and it works and it's great and now you're going to ship it off? What? It's called trickle-down disclosure. Things are happening very, very fast at a very fast-paced rate. And it's going to be absolutely epic over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. I'm so excited for the future because, like I said, our foot's out the door of one world and into the door of a new world.
I agree. I'm going to get us set up for the audience questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to comment on that to kind of land this conversation, and then I'll bring up the questions that we have from the audience. Questions and statements. So if you're good, I'll bring it up now. You solid?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
all right, here we go. All right, so number one, this comes from KK Walty. Each agency have compartments and SAPs. You have your regular classifications from unclassed to top secret, but then you have each agency compartment, which is where the letters come from. Each agency has SAPs, but you will never know the names of them unless you're read on or off of them.
Okay, so someone asked a question below it, or is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's separate. Yeah, I was just.
Each agency has compartments of SAPs, and you have regular classifications from unclassed to top secret. Yep, no foreign. But when you have each agency compartment, which is where the letters come from, each agency has SAPs, but you'll never know the names of them. Yes.
So I just thought it was pretty interesting. I wanted to share that with you, see if you had anything to add to it, since we do talk about SAPs a lot. Next one comes from Focus Above. Josh, how do we contain cost of AI data centers so that communities' cost of electricity and water increasing? You're going to say people need to look at the bigger picture of our country controlling AI. That sounds great, but most people are desperately trying to live day to
Agreed.
day.
Yeah, some people in some states are finding their electric bills almost tripling or quadrupling because of AI data usage. And this sucks. That's horrible, right? Number one is you need more cheap, abundant energy. That's really all it comes down to. Once you start to have automation integrated into this, and what I mean by that is when mining of energy starts to become automated, when manufacturing, processing, and refinement become automated, that price is going to drastically reduce. Um, that question that you asked is exactly what is on the mind of Trump and his whole administration and what they're trying to figure out. And the only solution is to get as much energy as humanly possible out there. And this is why I've always talked about how AI will have an ancillary backbone of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And that's why Trump is making the United States the blockchain mining capital of the world, because they all deal with the three same components: energy, compute, and data. So if you have blockchain, which is integrated into that same framework, now it can be utilized as an ancillary network backbone directly for artificial intelligence, which also becomes a national security directive, right? And we saw one of the big crypto mining companies today, Mara, which is actually buying into a French AI data center. So this is the move that's actually happening with that. But the best question is either you need more energy cheaper onto the market, or accessibility of energy on the market, or you need more energy. It's a supply and demand question.
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that one, but I'm in California, so I'm definitely concerned with it. Next one comes from JoJo797912. I want to know why Flynn known this evil stuff for years and never said or did anything to bring it out, and was never a whistleblower until Trump. Now he's out there getting paid. So, to many honest questions. So understanding this is what I'll say. General Flynn's not the boss. That decision is a decision that comes from the boss. That's the first one. The second one that I'll say is timing's everything. If you would have came out and look at how Pizzagate was received then, there's these things have to happen in phases. Just because you might be like, I can accept this, well, great, but you don't represent the populace in mass. And we have one shot, folks, to facilitate this plan to perfection. Because if we miss, that's it. That's it for humanity. If you rewind the clock back, you think JFK made the moves that he did and had lack of confidence in his ability to win? Absolutely not, or he wouldn't have done it. He was absolutely confident that he could win, and that's why he said, I will splinter the CIA. But then look what happened. And that happened because we didn't realize how massive and powerful this deep state was. And so we have to learn from the mistakes of the past to make sure that the next time that this plan is deployed in perfection, that we don't miss. And so the question is not about Flynn. Flynn is somebody in the movement that is helping to facilitate it. He's not the leader, folks. And now he's getting out there getting paid. Well, do you work for free? I don't work for free. Josh, do you work for free? I mean, sometimes it feels like it. I mean, what's wrong with people getting paid for their work? If you guys were aware of how much that man is on a plane around the country, maybe the world, and how much time he spends away from his family, that's sacrifice. and you don't want them to get paid for that? I don't know. That seems selfish.
Well,
to
it's
me.
funny because the anti-Flynn crowd are the same ones with podcasts that are bringing in, $20, $30, $50,000 a month, yelling at Flynn for getting paid. Sure. But to answer this person's question, I want to know why Flynn, knowing this evil stuff for years and never said anything to do anything to bring it out and was never a whistleblower. Number one, if you're a 3-star, 2-star, 1-star general and you realize that something as rampant as this was going on, Pizzagate, corruption, criminality, selling off of SAP programs, the last thing you are going to do is take that to the DOD IG. The last thing you're going to do is take that to congressional testimony, which, by the way, Flynn did in 2015. And one of the reasons why he got fired and forced into retirement, because he did that exactly for Afghanistan, of misappropriation of funds and resources and how our troops were being utilized. He blew the whistle on that in front of other cohorts, Clapper and Brennan, right? But he let's say 2008, he realized all this stuff is going on. 2009, 2010. Why didn't he come out and tell the world? Because no one would have believed him. He would have been dead in 3 days. Instead, what he did is he most likely went back, found some other patriotic generals, and said, hey, we got a problem. We need to do our thing. And ever since then, they've been working on some type of military mission style. Military is the only way to take it down. And you're watching it play out right now. So he did do something about it. He did notify you. It's just not in the time frame that you wanted to know.
There we go. Moving on to the next one. This comes from TMBT. Question, and for those that are new to the show, these are the comments from the last show of Q After Hours. So if you want us to address a question you have or a statement you make, you can drop it in the show comments today, and through the week we'll look at them and we'll address those in next week's conversation. But TMBT says, question, I believe Q has been working for a very long time. Since learning about Cicada 3301 coming out in 2012, do you think that was a precursor of Q to test the reactions of those on 4chan? Could they have been seeking how many would engage follow through problem solvers, certain skills like critical thinking? I see you smiling.
Nailed it.
and don't think that stopped, folks. Who knows what
whoever that was spot on. I think I said that exact same thing. Cicada 3301 back in 2012 was the precursor to Q, but it was a recruiting mechanism and basically a testing of the narrative to see if it would actually propagate utilizing internet back channels and how well it would actually go out there and begin to spread.
You're the only person outside of this person's comment. You're the only one I've ever heard bring that up. Yeah. That's why when I recognized it, I was just like, oh shit, Josh will like this one. Maybe this is Josh's sock account.
I don't know.
Well, that'll wrap up our questions for tonight. You got anything you want to add, brother? Actually, here, let me do this. Let me play our last ad, and then we have another quasi ad at the end of it. Let me play this one first. You guys will like this one. Here's a new one.
In a quiet town at where beards grow wild and lips dare to crack without permission, one woman has suffered.
Hi, I'm Margie, and I'm Jadriet's mother.
But the world would come to know her by another name, Madame Margie, the moistureless.
Jay came home with a lip balm. It's called Soft Disclosure.
With one miraculous application, her power awakened.
Within one day, my lips were healed. It was miraculous.
But salvation came at a cost. For in the shadowed lands known only as Badlands,
you boys at Badlands are so handsome.
she saw potential.
You're covering up your beautiful faces.
And she made her demand.
Shave them all off.
Or face the consequences. Beard oil will not save you now.
And you'll look so much better.
This summer, moisturize wisely and guard your beard. Because Madame Margie, the moistureless, is always watching.
I gotta go shave now.
Always watching.
Always watching.
when I saw the videos for these, I was just like, oh, this is a new one. I haven't seen this one. I was cracking up, man. I was like, if it was earlier, I would call JJ right now and just tell him his mom's my hero. You guys go get some soft disclosure. Links are down in the description. And that beard brush, if you guys haven't gotten yours already, it's big. It's literally about the entire size of my hand, a little bit smaller. So it's one of those. It's actually the biggest one I've ever had, and you literally are pretty much combing your entire like cheek. It feels good. If anything, get the brush. Like it is amazing. Anything you got, brother? If not, we'll get into the Rumble rants.
Yeah, let's get into the Rumble rants. It's gonna be a crazy next few weeks, man. Pumped.
I want to know what's gonna pop off at the State of the Union.
Oh, I can't wait. It's Tuesday, and we got DEF CON that night.
DEF CON right afterwards, bro. Right afterwards. All right, let me bring this up on the screen. Here we go. All right. Shout out Trucker Carlson is now a monthly supporter. I like what you did there. $5 from Emerald Dragon 1333. Let's fucking go, boys. I'm joining you live from the FU zone of Blizzard of 26. Y'all are the best, bar none. $5 challenge. I hope you're warm tonight, though. I hope you're warm tonight. $2 from Emerald Dragon 1333 again. Also, I'm out here plowing for the next 24 hours, so I'm gonna need you to set a record for the longest queue after hours ever. Thanks. Me and Josh we're trying to get away from the long shows, and we never seem to be able to pull that off.
Need sleep.
$2 from the new Prue Alpha. You think you could pull off Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder? I'll have to look and see which one of the Tropic Thunder characters was he. Was he the one that says big old titties? Let me see. I'm curious now. Let me hold on, you guys. Squirrel, because you got me wondering. Let's see. Les Grossman. I think it is, but I'm not positive.
I don't know.
No, that's the Tom Cruise one.
My favorite scene from that movie is this one. Me? I know who I am. Do you know this one?
It's me, Tug.
It's me, Tug.
That's right. Now, Tug who?
Tug who? I don't know. Who are you?
Me? I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
What?
You dudes don't know what dude he is.
Or are you a dude who has no idea what dude he is and claims to know what dude he is?
Oh.
I know who I am. I'm just a dude pretending to be a dude, pretending to be another dude.
Les Grossman is the Tom Cruise character that does that. So maybe I will reevaluate that new Prue, and maybe that can be an Only Lance character. We will see. I don't know if I can get all that. I got like a little patch chest hair right here. I'm not very hairy on the upper half of my body outside of my legs, so I don't know. We'll see what we can accomplish. Let's bring these back up. $5 from Funky Joe Medina. Challenge accepted. I like that. $5 from one local lizard. My brother has become very negative since he started listening to Candace. Says Trump is selling us out. I told him to listen to you two. Also, have you seen the movie The Gorge? I have not seen the movie The Gorge.
And that's the Candace psyop.
The Gorges?
No, the Candace psyop is to make you hate Trump and think he's selling you out.
100%. It's a despair weapon to destroy morale. Just keep pushing local on that. And one of the things that I found very, very effective with some people that are just like staunch Candace defenders, this is what I told them. And actually I did it, in some large spaces too. I said, provide me one thing of actual evidence, not speculation. Provide me one thing of actual evidence, and I'll post it on my show, and I'll give Candace all the credit. And to this day, you know how much stuff I've gotten?
Nothing.
Nothing. So if one thing you can try, local listeners, just tell your brother, you know what? Listen, I want to see what you understand. So can you send me something? Just send me a few things of evidence that Candace has provided you, so I can take a look at it. And then in his own frustrations, to find that maybe that light will give off. But don't give up on your brother. Family's family. $5 from Jamie Slayer 2, and it's a link. I think I know which one this is because it's a Jimmy Seafood, and I think I have this one bookmarked too. So we'll come back to that one real quick. Jamie Slayer, hold on. Let me see before I make a promise. So yeah, we'll show it. Yeah, it's a good one. I'll share it with you guys if you haven't seen it. Josh, $5 for the new Prue. 20 years ago, I would put code and software update. Code watches count R. Winning, swap the names R for D. Next update erases evidence. Tina Peters intercepted this process. Made, drive, copy.
Mm-hmm.
The level of gratitude people are going to have towards Tina when she fulfills her role. Yeah, a lot of people need to be very grateful. We need to continue to pray for that lady. $5 from the new Prue again. Before second update could occur to erase evidence. This is why they are persecuting Tina Peters so intensely. Yes, they listen, folks. They want her dead. If you don't know, that they rewarded the lady. I don't know if you're aware of the update, Josh, but you remember when that video leaked, and the one that they charged Tina against, saying that she did the assault.
Mm-hmm.
That woman, they paroled her, and so yep. And so what are they doing there? They're showing an incentive.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time they go to someone that says, hey, go beat her up or go do this. And, the last person, they definitely got their parole approved. That there's some dark, shady shit going on over there in Colorado. $5 from Heather J. Jones 1. Thank you guys as always. Hoping White House is watching. We still have people here in Western North Carolina that can't live in their houses, can't get their money to demolish and rebuild. Please get things moving. God, that's terrible.
President Trump, Scavino, anybody hears that? Let's get FEMA out there.
I wonder if he did any posts since we've been doing the show. $10 from
nothing.
All right, $10 from Philly Murphy 29. Hey boys, great show as usual. So I'm running for Pennsylvania State Representative, which will flip the state from B to R. Not a politician, I'm a nurse. Trying to lead by example. You both inspire me. Right on. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah.
Awesome, Philly. Good job.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We need that in not just every state, not just every county. We need that in every city, folks. That's the way right there. That's the way. Hell yeah, Philly. Dollar for dollar ZBM. According to Kim Clement, if my memory serves me right, the next president, if the U.S. after Trump's second term, is a Hispanic man from Florida. Maybe Marco Rubio. Maybe Alpha. LOL. Who knows? Cheers, guys. Rumor has it that Alpha's moving to Florida. I don't know. Did Kim Clement know something I didn't know? We will see. I'd say probably bet on Marco Rubio, folks. You don't want me as president. It would start off like this. All right, let's just get ahead of all the bullshit. All right. These are all the things I've done. 2 hours later, you're either going to be like,
I found the front door.
2 hours later, y'all going to be like, damn, he lived a hell of a life. Or you're going to be like, Lord Jesus, take the wheel. Lord Jesus, take the wheel. But we'll get it out. That way there's no worry about leverage. But now you guys don't want me because listen, I would turn this into I'm going on the Ottoman plan, right? We're just going to conquer everything, just start putting our flag everywhere. Just, it's ours, it's ours, it's ours. And then I'll get rid of the presidency and I'll just make us kings. Y'all don't want me. That's just, no. Leave me in the trenches. That's where I belong. Get Josh. Make Josh president. Josh would be great. Where we are. Okay, $2. Emerald Dragon 1333. Talking about cash at the hockey game. I see that as part of the job. Did it need to be cash? Maybe not. But reach each Americans have pride in their team. Their country is part of this, in my opinion. I don't disagree.
Agreed.
$5 from Blissful Girl 130. Cash Patel deserves a celebration for his work, and what better way to spend that day off than with Team USA Hockey for Gold? I'm having a beer with all of them. I understand where you're coming from, Blissful, and I understand. I understand. Here's the thing. Okay, this is why I say y'all don't want me as president. This goes to one of the comments we just read a little while ago. There are people who still don't have their houses. I'm just, listen, I'm a ruthless dictator. You put me in leadership. I'm telling Cash, I'm telling Pam, I'm telling everybody, none of you, you're not even getting a fucking weekend off until this shit's squared away. But we're tired, boss. Yeah. So are the people living under the bridges. So are the people that are incarcerated. So is this. So it's like, I'm telling you, like, but I'd be with them. I'd be right there with them working. You know what I mean? Because, Trump be out there, hitting the golf ball. And I'm like, boss, like, world's falling apart. Y'all here, hitting them little white balls. So that's why I said, yeah. But you're right. You're right.
Alpha as president would be like the middle of the Maoist revolution in China in the 1960s. Get the belt out. Go whip him. He no work.
I'm telling you, man. Oh,
send him to work camps. That shit's still out there. We need to pull that shit down and rebuild it. Sure, we just rebuilt it. Rebuild it again.
Y'all gonna learn how the pyramids were built. That's what I'm talking about. Look, you guys, look at what I do to me. Can you imagine what I would do? Nope, don't want me there. Boss has me where he needs me. $5 from S-Hole. Nuclear reactor was left at Camp Sentry. It is still under the ice. Really?
Yep. It's a micronuclear reactor too. That's what I was saying.
$10 from Rick I63. Grinland makes me think of the old movie Ice Station Zebra. Great show tonight. Fist pump. I've never heard
check
that.
Check out that show, Ice Station Zebra. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, same here. $50 from Mariah the Wolf. Guys, can't we get enough of you guys? Y'all should have shows 5 days a week. Just kidding, but if you did, we watch it. See that.
Well, hold on. I do shows 5 days a week. I do shows Monday through Friday, and then I do do a show Sunday. I do 2 shows on Tuesdays and 2 shows on Thursdays. So for everybody out there, I do the Daily Dose Monday through Friday on my channel. Then I do DEF CON on Tuesday night. I do Overwatch and the Guardian on my channel and Alpha's channel on Thursday night. And then we do Q After Hours on Sunday night.
Not counting the guest appearances everywhere else.
I can't do any more shows than that. That's a lot.
Yeah, I was like, if I.
Oh, and then I got bitched at by one of someone in my audience, like, you're a patriot. All you do is run ads. I'm just like, dude, you got to pay the bills. How dare you put money on information? Q said it was supposed to be free. Like, you are a fucking idiot. You have no clue what Q said or what he was talking about. That person is no longer subscribed to my channel.
There's a difference between grifting and working, folks.
Correct. 100%. Well said.
$2 from Emerald Dragon 1333, and it's if we compare emails, it's probably the same person because I got a nasty gram like that 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And I was just, and the funny thing is, I was reading it like at 2:30 in the morning, like one eye open, trying to work, and I'm like, I'm tired, and I'm working right now, and I'm getting yelled at because I asked for like, y'all trying to make me cry. Like, I'm tired. It's 2:30 in the morning. I should be asleep right now.
So for everybody out there, I'm going to put my links out in the Rumble chat and the YouTube chat. These are our links how you can support myself, and I'll put Alphas out right after, just so everybody has them. So if you guys want to follow us or support us, there's those links right there. Hell yeah. And Alphas are coming right now.
Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. $2 from Emerald Dragon 1333. I got a real test of your network, gents. Mrs. Dragon's birthday is Tuesday. Let's see if you can get the boss man to wish Carissa a happy birthday at the State of the Union. LOL. Listen, we ain't got that kind of like, I just want to set expectations. All right. The State of the Union. I mean, we'll try. Let's see what we could do.
That was all shit. So hold on. Let me try it again.
Boss. All right. Scavino, one of you guys. Sometime in and around the time frame of the State of the Union, can we get a Carissa a happy birthday shout out with love from her husband? Make that work for us somehow, fellas. And now if it happens, we're gonna be bragging like we knew it was gonna happen the whole time. $20 coming in from Katie Hayes. I asked AI to give me data about who is watching Q After Hours, and the response I was given is that there is no data about your show.
Cool.
I wonder if you have a favor and are being buffered. You can try dropping the link in there and see if it can tell you what information that it gets from there. Sometimes you gotta nudge it. You gotta give it a little extra. But you did make me curious. So I'm gonna be dropping some other links asking the same thing, Katie. So thank you for sharing that. $10 from PS Farm Girl. The push on tech is just like when phones went from the bag into small computers, phone in your hand. I believe the Sci-Fi people are the ones more likely to accept what's happening. They're probably the ones that can probably predict what's coming too. Like, there's a lot that's been teased and revealed in movies and in books, especially comic book. $17 coming from Raya the Wolf. P.S. Could anyone that's willing pray for my sweet sister-in-law, Janet? She's had 2 huge aneurysms and has a hole in her heart. Living in Washington State, they're telling her 6 months to get an MRI. They're telling her 6 months to get. Are they telling her to get an MRI within the next 6 months? Or are they telling her like bad news in 6 months?
It sounds like they gave her 6 months.
Oh, golly. Yeah, I'll say a little prayer when we're done with this for you.
Those
Mariah.
links are not all jumbled together. I think I figured it out.
Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna leave that one open so we can come back to it. $20 from Glowbug SE, challenging the challenger of $5 challenges. Peter Pipe the pedal. I can't even say it. I'm too tired. I'm gonna try. $7 from Mariah.
Peter Piper picked a pair of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
See, Josh is AI, man. All right, cat's out of the bag.
How much wood did a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck wood, as much wood as a woodchuck if a woodchuck would.
Nah. Listen, I ain't even gonna try. Nope. $7. Last one, Mariah the Wolf. That's not enough of you two together. Let's come over here and say a quick little prayer for my sister-in-law, Jeanette. Now, for those of you that believe or don't believe, just if you can just give pause while we do this. Father, I ask, as one of your humble servants, that you hear Mariah's special requests for her sister-in-law, Jeanette. You say where 2 or 3 are gathered, that we can ask for anything. We can move the world. We can make, if we have the faith of a mustard seed, we can command the mountains to jump into the ocean. Father, we ask that you bring a miracle to this family, despite what doctors say, despite what medicine says. Your power to make miracles happen cannot be defined, Father. So I ask that you hear the special requests and you bring peace and good results in the future, and to defy everything that's been told to this family. Father, I also ask that are any unspoken prayers from people that are watching this show now or people that are watching this show in the future, that you hear what's on their hearts and that you help them and bring them peace as well. We pray and we ask all this in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Let me pull this off the screen, and I didn't see any Badlands boosts, but I'll check one last time if you want to cover the air real quick.
No, I was joking. We are moving into accelerated times, people. And I think that's what the course of the next few months and few weeks are going to be. They're going to be hyper accelerated. I think a lot's going to happen. There's going to be a lot to cover. And I think it's going to be pretty damn crazy.
Agree. And I was looking for something and it was right up on the monitor. No Badlands boost. I am going to bring up this. This is our last commercial for the evening, folks. It's not a video, though. It is a flyer. Because what are we talking about? Badlands, the Great American Restoration Tour, Nashville, Tennessee. This April, folks, with featured speakers, John Harold, known as Patel Patriot, Chris Paul, Burning Bright, Zach Payne, G Money, Jordan Sayer, CanCon, Alpha, Brad, Ashton America, Jonathan Drake, J Triet, Abby, Josh, JB White, Cam Cooksey, Matt Trump, and Ghost of Bass, Patrick Henry. Folks, right now, between now and March 15th, so that's going to come up a lot quicker, you can get the virtual tickets at a discount. After March 15th, they're going to kick into regular price at $40. So if you know you can't make it, grab the virtual ticket now and save some money. Listen, folks, if you've never been to a GART, it's a world of an experience. Aside from just the joy of being with people that are like-minded and have the same missions, the conversations that happen there. The one thing that I've always absolutely loved about GART, my counterparts like Josh and others that are there is, we are there actually with you guys. Like, we're spending time with you guys, we're having conversations with you guys, and it is so fun and so informative to sit there, have a cigar or drink a beer and have dialogue and get your guys' perspective on things. It's a great experience. I don't know if you want to share anything, Josh.
No, they didn't put Lieutenant General Stephen Quast on there. He is like the newest Badlands host.
They probably got to update this. Just saying.
Yeah,
which is a great show.
I'm really looking forward to it. If you guys want to just literally come hang out with some of your favorite podcasters, chill, have good food, have a few drinks, and tell them all of your crazy conspiracies and have them tell you their crazy conspiracies, this is the place to do it. There's no green room. There's no backstage or any of that nonsense. It's like literally we are sitting with you, having a great time with you. So it is definitely a weekend to remember. And it's in Nashville. Nashville's a fun city. So hope to see you all out there. I'm pumped for this.
So somebody told me about a location not too far from there, Josh. That's a very like super haunted place. And they're like, can you and Josh go check this out? And I was just like, shit, let me talk to Josh. Maybe we can pull something like this. Other than that, man, that concludes the show for tonight, folks. No matter what platform you're watching on, smash the thumb, hit a heart. And like I said, if you want us to read your comment or a statement, leave that in the comments below and we'll get into them next week. Make sure you tune in on Tuesday to DEF CON following the State of the Union by President Trump. Me and Josh will be talking about that. And then make sure you guys tune into our new show on Thursday nights, Overwatch and The Guardian. That show has been well received. You guys are putting it on the leaderboard. We're having a lot of fun with that, and we've just been brainstorming on the direction we want to continue to take that. So all your support is definitely appreciated. So I don't got anything else, brother, unless you do.
I'm good. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And if you guys are looking for our Rumbles or our websites, those links are put out there. I know they're all jumbled before and just one link and it went nowhere, but now they're all separated, alphas and mine. So appreciate all the support, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Good night. Semper Fi.